Welcome back to our lectures on the world of Jeor'n-Dith. I will be your instructor for as long as I have information to give. For those of you who don't remember, my name is Taichi. This is Today's lesson will focus on the continent of South Torin. As a general overview, South Torin is allied with East Torin in the Torin War, which we will once again cover in a later lecture. But for now, we can speak on the other prominent features of South Torin, first being its fascination on the taming of monsters for many uses: battle, agriculture, transportation, and much more. While the rest of the world uses the same methods as South Torin, they were first to create these methods and have special monsters unique to the rest of the world that exceed in the task they're put in. Second is, the Crimson Nexus is a perverted artifact, originally created to allow the people of Ardent Haven to wield arcane magic as powerful as a thaumaturge in modern-day West Torin. However, due to both the Gelatinous Cube Uprising, which we will get into later in this lecture, and more so in a separate one, and the Spellrot Plague, which we covered last week, this glorious artifact was changed to serve the opposite purpose: stealing magic not processed into powerful enough spells. Currently, it appears as an auxiliary orb of many varying dull reds, changed from its previous and glorious white and gold. The people of Ardent Haven almost immediately left their settlement after their artifact had lost its main purpose and was perceived as useless. Not more than a few decades later, however, some people saw it as a useful artifact to build their own civilization around, as it would keep most spellcasters out. This finishes our segment on the Crimson Nexus, and we will now move on to the Dead Ringer Dunes is a sea of sand that covers a large portion of the bottom half of the continent. While in the desert, you may find golems made from black sand, contrasting the many dunes of normal beige sand, battling each other with no regard for you or whatever you do. These golems are a byproduct of the Desert Mirage Clash, as it is known today. This clash revolved around three factions, each vying for the Scepter of Eternity. The Serpent's champions had the scepter in their possession and did not wish to give it away to risk angering the Sand Serpent, a benevolent guardian spirit of the dunes. The Eternal Seekers hoped to gain the scepter to live as long as elves, along with any other powers held within the scepter. Finally, the Ebon Nomads hoped to wield the scepter and to allow for safe passage within the desert. Much of the battle went as you might expect, with many losses on all sides and long drawn-out battles. But the most interesting piece of the battle is its end. The Sand Serpent burrowed out from underneath the sand and ate the scepter and the arm of the person wielding it, escaping back through the sand in a visually stunning moment. After that, two of the factions dissolved or left the desert as their one driving point was gone, with only the Serpent's champions remaining to keep worshipping the Sand Serpent. This battle is assumed to have lasted a week, as that is the time it takes between the golem and the Sand Serpent sprouting from the sand. It is unknown what happened to the Sand Serpent after this, however, it is speculated that the scepter supernaturally aged them and they became the mountains scattered across the dunes. This was the most interesting point of the battle, saved for last, and we will now move on to the next topic. The Gelatinous Glade is the birthplace of most oozes and the Gelatinous Cube Uprising. I said that we would cover the Uprising later in this lecture, but the brief portion we will cover will be after we cover the glade itself. The flora of this glade is bioluminescent, glowing in the night, making it a beautiful sight and one that I would recommend were it not for the extreme danger of the area. While inside the glade, we no longer sit at the top of the food chain, being the prey of gelatinous cubes and other oozes. There's not much to say about the glade, as it is a very basic, swampy field, aside from its history, which we will now cover. The gelatinous cube uprising started when 10 to 20 gelatinous cubes somehow melded into one, creating a hive mind, with the intelligence of about a human 10-year-old. But as they grew and assimilated more cubes into themselves, they became smarter until they eventually took over the entire glade, and then what is currently considered South Torn, and then all of Great Torn. Even before South Torn was conquered, every gelatinous cube had the same intelligence of an adult human, making them one of the most dangerous armies in the world, only being hindered by their lack of appendages, which they could make up for with their pseudopods. After about a decade of their reign, Izek the Wyvern King attempted to kill the hive mind, but failed, due to his diminutive size and the fact that he was also using acid. It was only after the mages of the rest of the world learned about hidden conjuration magic, one that allowed them to summon heroes from different realms, was the hive mind defeated, and the cubes reverted back to their original states, being beach-like in intuition. That concludes our talk about the Gelatinous Glade and the Gelatinous Cube Uprising for now. We shall move on to Mount Rhynex is the largest mountain in Jeor'n-Dith, reaching up to what is considered the shoreline of North Torin. It is split into three different segments. The first is a beautiful, misty forest with quite a mystic feel, and I do recommend that everyone visit if they are able. One of the reasons I say this is because it has no dangers specific to this region. However, if you do visit, I will warn against walking too far, as this is an extremely small section of the mountain, and the next section is much more perilous. This next section is completely juxtaposed to the previous in every way. It is a harsh, freezing, almost sheer cliff face that takes up the largest portion of the mountain. It is by far the most perilous leg of the journey to the top. While there are many flat surfaces along the way, this portion, it is not advisable to stop at any of these points, as many monsters that have adapted to the insane cold of this region will attack you if you stay at one place for too long. The third and final layer is a bright, golden, iridescent ascendance of plateaus. The plateaus are covered in a golden grass, and they allow you to see the tops of the clouds. While this may sound like a paradise or nice place to live, it is only like this during the day, as once the sun falls, black tar-like creatures emerge from the ground and wreak havoc or kill whatever is atop the mountain. Needless to say, do not visit this location anywhere past the first region, as it gets increasingly more dangerous from there. Now we will move on to the next location. The Sentinel's Arch is one of the more contentious points in any of my lectures, as it is unclear whether or not it exists within the territory of South Torin. The Sentinel's Arch was discovered at the bottom of the Etsam Crag, surrounded by 6 gargantuan stone golems. There are many speculations as to what the arch truly is. Some believe that it was created by the gods and cannot be moved by mortal hands. Others that an ancient civilization built it, and some think it an artifact sent from the stars. Now to the controversial point. After Martyr, Blessed of the Sun, found the arch, he was left to get people to research it, but afterwards they could not find it again. Martyr was believed to be a liar for a year, as after that statues were found matching the descriptions he gave, albeit not in the place he said they would be, nor in the position nor formation he described. That wraps up our lecture on South Torin. Next week we will talk about Danakurd, the religious capital of the world, and I hope to see you there. But until then, have a good day.
Can't stop, won't stop, running to the bag. You losing, I've been running, shit, know I can come and last. Can't stop, won't stop, running to the bag. I've been working too long, no, there ain't no time for naps. Can't stop, won't stop, running to the bag. I ain't waiting for a handout.